If you threw a meatball at me on a first date, I would marry you on the second date.
Yeah, well, if you ate a bloomin' onion on a first date.
Oh, the cactus onion.
No,
bloomin' onion.
It's bloomin' onion. I don't.
It's bloomin' onion at Outback Steakhouse, but then it's a cactus blossom at Texas Roadhouse. All I know is that one time you told me you had a first date with somebody who ordered the bloomin' onion, and you didn't have a second date. Was that right?
I didn't have a second date.
Well, it's been my mission ever since then to, if we ever go to an Outback Steakhouse, to always get the bloomin' onion. Because it's like a victory. It's like, haha, he married me, and I'm eating the bloomin' onion.
You say that, but in the time that we've been together, we have only been to Outback Steakhouse one time.
And I got the bloomin' onion.
You didn't.
Yeah, I did.
You did not get it.
I absolutely
wouldn't let you order it.
No, I got it.
That's when I told you that story.
I got it.
I don't think you did.
I have never been to an Outback and not gotten it. That
time you didn't get it.
Well, maybe I just thought it in my head like, oh, I'm forever going to get this now that I know that story. That could be what it is.
Does it feel toasty in here to you?
No, I'm a little chilly.
I'm hot. I'm taking my shirt off, listeners. You know, we could have thrown this up on OnlyFans though, and we would have made a couple bucks.
For the people that like flannel.
They don't like flannel. I'm taking the flannel off.
Yeah, that's what they like. They're like, ooh, look at the flannel slide.
No, I mean, I'd probably I'd put my foot up by the camera frequently and just wiggle my toes a little.
Billionaire.
Yeah.
I would just record barefoot, which I am, and just stick my feet in the camera while we talk. Edit that out.
You know that's going to be the intro, right?
This is a rough start.
It always is a rough start, but the thing is, we sit here and kind of just shoot the shit for a few minutes, and somewhere in there, you tend to stick your foot in your mouth in some way or another, and that usually ends up being the intro, and I like that. Our intro has no real structure or lead into the actual episode. Typically, what will happen is you say something ridiculous. I respond in a ridiculous way, cue the music, and then welcome to the Cupful podcast. I almost decided to change the name just for this episode. I was going to call it...
To what?
Welcome to the Leap Year podcast, because we only podcast once every 4 years.
4 weeks, maybe.
It's been more than 4 weeks.
Yeah, it's been quite a bit since we recorded for many reasons, many good reasons. The kids started school a few weeks back.
Our last episode wasn't the vacation one. We had one after that, correct?
I believe we did. And
it was the throwback was what we called it, I think.
Yes, you're right.
Or something like that. We talked about my childhood a little bit. We talked about just, I don't know, some of the things that we were into as kids.
And things that we wanted to bring back as adults.
We were starting to get back into as adults. And here's the thing about this podcast. We set out with a mission with the first episode of, what we wanted to do with each episode and kind of the topic we wanted to focus on. And I think we're going to stick to that for the most part, but it might not always be the same. We're not always going to talk about what fills our cup. Sometimes it might just be about life. So yeah, rewind back to 4 or 5 weeks ago, whenever it was that we released the last episode. And the following week we got COVID, our entire house, for the second time. And that it
was staggered COVID.
Yeah, we kind of hit a downward spiral. We weren't really that sick from the COVID itself, but I'm pretty convinced that the week or two after that, I got strep throat for the first time in my life. I'm pretty positive I had strep. I've never had strep throat before.
We both did. And even though I tested negative at the doctor, I think I went too late.
Yeah.
And I completely lost my voice. So I would say my voice is just now coming back to a really clear sound. And I sounded like a deceased frog for 3 weeks. And for a few solid days, couldn't even speak whatsoever. So of course we couldn't podcast during that time. We would never make you sit through. That's a horrible sound to listen to someone who's sick. It doesn't sound good.
I think sound a little froggy. My throat's a little but it would have just basically been me sounding like a frog and Kandace not
And
sounding at
me
all.
like squeaking out air. And that's just not quality content. We would never make you listen to that while you're doing your laundry or running or whatever you do while you listen.
Yeah, we took a reprieve. Just sickness. We weren't really able to record. And we also, I mean, obviously couldn't have any guest on or anything. We're still working on getting that back on track. I don't think it's going to be our goal to have guests every episode. I think it's maybe a little unrealistic, but we do still want to keep doing that.
And we do have some future guests lined up for certain topics.
There have been just a lot of changes over the last month or so.
Changes.
Tell
us about those changes.
In addition to just being sick for like the last month, and just, frogging around the house, I went through a job transition, among other changes too. Like there's a lot going on right now. The kids are back in school. That was a whole transition. And we were even saying before, like on the last couple of episodes, I think we felt like it would get easier to do this once they got back in the swing of school. So they are. Here we are. We're recording.
Well, you left out. They're not only back in school. They're all in school.
So yeah, I don't know if we've mentioned this, but our youngest son, Milo, he's in kindergarten. So all three of our kids are now of school age. So how's that going for you? Like, so to give you guys just a little bit of context here, my new job, Kandace and I were both working remotely before. My new job, I'm kind of hybrid. So I go into the office a few days out of the week, and I might be home 1 or 2 days out of the week. So Kandace is actually getting time to herself alone in the house. How's that going?
So I'm reluctant to, share my real feelings about it because I feel like it'll hurt your feelings. But I'll go ahead and explain. The days that you do go into the office and all the kids go to school, keep in mind, Milo's only in half-day kindergarten. So he's only gone for about 2.5 hours and he comes home at lunchtime. But during that time, I am so productive because, nobody's here. There's no distractions. I can choose between, getting, logging into work and just getting so much done because the focus is just so intense because there's no one around me to talk to me and get my ADHD going. I've been able to go to the gym. I've been able to go for a run outside, go for a walk, go grab some coffee before work. It's been wonderful. I absolutely love it. Not just because I'm alone. It's not all selfish reasons that I love it. I love that time that you're gone because it gives me a reason to miss you. Before we were together 24/7 and I realized we take each other for granted a whole bunch. And we actually have text threads going. Like before we would like go like 6 months without sending a text to one another because there was no need. Or, the only text we would send would be like, bring toilet paper upstairs or something like really, or really lame, hey, like pick that.
This thing up from the store.
Like, hey, get this at Kroger. But now we're actually, we're kind of missing each other or, there's that distance. I don't know. It's been a nice change of pace a little bit.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder.
That's the saying. Yeah. And it's true. I wholeheartedly believe that now because I have just been appreciating you more. And I feel like on your end, correct me if I'm wrong, but you just seem so happy at your new job. Just so happy when you come home. It's such a nice change. Like the energy that you bring home, it's more pleasant. I don't feel like you're as stressed out.
So I don't want to zigzag too much. I want to touch on all of these things.
Right. But those are just my feelings.
I want to try to stay focused on one topic at a time and not jump around too much. I'll get into the new job and just kind of that feeling. But yeah, so things are going good. Getting a couple hours by yourself. I love it.
Yeah, it's a dream.
Days. And even then, I think like the days that I do work from home and I'm here with you, I think we're both just kind of like spread out on the couch with our laptops.
Well, yeah. And then it's nice to have you back for a minute. And because I know that you're leaving again soon.
You know, it's interesting. I did find that I had to, I went to text you one of the first days that I was at work, and I had to scroll down so far,
I know,
to find like my text thread. Cause I never delete text. I have like text from 4 years ago on my phone still. So I had to scroll down so far to like find your like text thread. And it's not that I have anybody that ever texts me. The problem is that I get like 20 million spam texts today. That's why I don't text people anymore. Cause like, it's just, I get so much freaking spam. Usually like, I don't know. I tend to use Messenger more than I do text messaging, just because like, I don't know. It's a whole thing. Plus like all the, like, just like, there's a lot of marketing stuff and like, hey, like, are you trying to log into this account? Like, we're going to send you a code through text. Like, there's just so much of that these days.
Right.
So I
feel you like just never clear it out.
I feel like my text messages are just very, very cluttered.
Well, I had the same exact, scenario. The first time that you were gone, I had to scroll down to text you for whatever reason. It was so far. You were like the 20th thread, like down in my inbox. And it, kind of made me laugh because we're married but we were always together. There was no reason for us to text. And if I had to get a hold of you, it was a quick phone call if I had to run to the grocery store. So it's just
like you said, one of us
toilet paper,
like we're about this close to just scooping with our fingers.
I mean, that's never true. We have a bidet, so that's never necessary.
Man, sorry, listeners. We're not savages.
Yeah, of course. We have a bidet.
Sophisticated European-esque. Do Europeans use bidets? Like, I know that's a French word, but
I feel like they do. I don't know.
I'm just thinking of like Japanese people with like their squatty potties.
Oh, yeah.
They have like those bidets, like they squat over and then it shoots up.
Oh, that's kind of weird. I feel like they do that in public restrooms too, and that seems a little sketchy to me.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it's healthy. I mean, you're not touching the toilet, and it's probably better for your like actual bowel.
Oh, so that's for
you gotta have some like good core strength though.
So you can't sit down to use the restroom?
No, like they like legit like it's weird. It's weird. I'll have to show you sometime.
Okay, I'm looking this up immediately.
I'm like waiting for her to look it up now so I can get a reaction, but she's not looking it up.
No, I meant immediately as in post podcasting, but that's very interesting. Well, I'll have to look that up and see if that's true.
Lots of weird contraptions all over the world that are just so different from how things are here.
I feel like that's like a joke. Like it's not really true.
No,
like it's probably like a tourist joke. Like
in Australia, when you flush the toilet, the water spins the other direction.
It's backwards. That was not a good.
What?
I don't know.
It's backwards.
It's backwards.
That's not. Are you a 1920s flapper? Like it's backwards. Yeah, that was a
backwards toilet water.
You're getting even farther away from the Australian accent.
It's because you messed me up. Now my brain can't do it.
This is worse than the time that you tried to do the Vecna voice on podcast.
Oh, that was pretty good.
Was it?
Yeah.
All right, we're not going to revisit that. But oh man, so yeah. There's lots. We're going through changes in our lives. So many. But yeah. So I'm not gonna like talk poorly about my previous employer. But Kandace already kind of hit on like my mental well-being and my mood when I'm done with work. It's been a lot better. It's not that, that necessarily that the company I was with was bad. It just wasn't for me. It wasn't a good fit for me. And I feel like I had several goals when I first took that job. Several goals that I wanted to accomplish to kind of just progress me and move me in my career. But ultimately, what ended up being the right decision for me was to go back to doing what I love doing. So I'm in a, like a full-time video production position again, and I'm loving it. I haven't gotten to do a whole lot yet, project wise, but I know that there's a lot coming up. I had a really cool moment today. I went to get, I'm my new job is in like the middle of downtown Dayton. So I left our office building and I walked a few blocks to grab some coffee today. And as I was rounding the corner of our building, I look over and there's this big screen with my very first video project that I made for this company playing on it. And it's just like Main Street, downtown Dayton, this big, like 15-foot plus screen with my first project playing on it on loop all day, every day. And
How did you feel when you saw that?
I didn't, because I didn't realize it was up. I didn't realize that they had played, like they were playing it there. And I was just like, huh. It's not a huge deal, but you gotta consider, like, my last job, I almost completely stepped away from video production. Like there were video aspects to the work that I was doing, but not on this scale, like nothing like this. I didn't have a camera physically in hand. And the last job I had before that, like, though I did do a lot of video work, it was very targeted marketing that only certain people were seeing. And because of COVID, for the longest time, we were unable to physically like shoot anything. So like it was a lot of animation and stuff like that.
So you couldn't be on location anywhere, interacting.
Just being able to, like, I've been, this is tomorrow, I think, is my third week with this company. And, I've filmed one video already, and it was such a fun video to make. Like, it wasn't anything, like the shoot itself wasn't big, but like it was a fun edit. Like they dumped lots of resources. Like they were like, hey, yeah, you want to buy the rights to this song? Go for it. And like threw money at that. So I had this like fun song, really fun animations going on with like just some fun video. And it was promoting this event that my office building. So we own Stratacache Tower, which is the biggest building in downtown Dayton, is where I'm working. Our company owns the building, and our CEO, he's got like this mission to revitalize downtown Dayton. Like it's so near and dear to him. He's from Dayton. It's very, very, just very important to him to kind of start to bring back businesses and kind of revitalize downtown. And so they're doing kind of this pop-up event with all of these, I don't really know how exactly to describe it, but like when you go into like bigger cities, like they'll have these like pop-up events, like where you can come and like there's these little exhibits that you can take selfies in, and there's just different art displays and stuff, and like interactive experiences, and just
to advertise like the businesses or places. Yeah,
it's essentially like what we're doing is like we're bringing a bunch of businesses from around the Dayton area in to kind of have they each have their own little room or display with like something interactive in it. There's a Omega Music, which is in the Oregon district in Dayton, one of my favorite vinyl shops. But they have a stall there where they have like all these records hanging from the ceiling and kind of just like, I don't know, it looks really cool. And then there's a couple of record players with headphones set up, and you can sample some local artists that they have on vinyl. So it's just cool stuff like that. But yeah, so I don't know, it was just so cool. Like after all these years of basically not feeling like I was really getting to do much with video production outside of Kandace and I's wedding business. Within my first couple of weeks, I made something, and here it is, like on this like large scale, just playing on loop outside this building for the public. And it was really cool to see that. And I'm super excited for some projects that I already have coming up. It seems like video is also very important to this company. I came in, and they had, they had already invested so much in gear to just make sure that the job's done right and professionally. And I've already like started making a list of like just things that I would like to add to our like all of our gear, just to kind of make it more friendly for like my workflow and how I like to work. And they're more than willing to, like they're already purchasing all of this stuff for me. So like they're willing to put the resources in, and that just, it makes me feel really good. And I'm excited to be able to like really, really jump into all of this and continue learning again, not even just like doing video production, but continuing to push myself to be better. So I'm really excited for the opportunity and to kind of see like where it takes me, and, like what all I get to do. I'm really excited. I found out that in January I'm getting to go to, I've never been to New York City. So in January, we're doing a trade show called NRF. It's like one of the biggest trade shows within our industry, but we're going to that, and I'm going to get to like just kind of film. Like we have a big booth that we set up at this trade show that I'm going to get to like film around there for a few days and just explore New York and everything. And Kandace might come with me. I don't know.
Well, I told Justin that if he does go, I'm going to tag along, but I'm not going to be around him for the work stuff. He'll be able to find me in some like bagel deli somewhere. I'll just be hopping delis, just eating bagel sandwiches all day. That sounds like the perfect life for me. They call
that the bagel crawl. Not because you're crawling from bagel shop to bagel shop, but because you eat so many bagels that you have to physically crawl back to your...
That's like a great weekend getaway to me. All I know though, I just want to say, you know, you talked a little bit about your job and what you're doing. I'm just so proud and happy because you can see the new glow that you have. Like before, you just seemed so... I don't know if the word
let's call it what it is. It's depression.
Depressed, maybe defeated.
And it wasn't just because of work. There was work was just one of those things that it felt like there was this huge weight on me. I wasn't doing anything creative, which was the whole reason that I started this podcast. Like I wanted to have some sort of easy outlet. And it was, you know, we talk about all the things that were like making us busy over we talk about that in almost every episode because we have lapses where we don't record. But the reality of it is a lot of times, like, it's just hard to feel motivated to do anything, even though you want so desperately to create and to do something productive and fun. It's really hard to get yourself in that headspace to actually do it, to have the mental energy to be able to do it.
Like at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, you know, kids are tucked in. All right, well, let's go record our podcast. Like it's hard when you don't enjoy your daytime activity. And to be clear, work is work. No one is really going to enjoy everything that they do. But I've enjoyed seeing so far these past few weeks that you've been with this new company, just that feeling of it's like a big weight has been lifted off of you and in turn has been lifted off of me too, because I always like feel really heavily what you're feeling. So anything that you're going through as your partner, I'm feeling it too. So, and in turn, I feel like it affects the kids, whatever, mom and dad are feeling, it's what the kids are feeling. And it's hard sometimes to put those feelings aside to just act happy. So I don't know. I'm happy for you.
I'm less cranky.
Yes. Less cranky.
And it's interesting because like I've thought, so I was just to kind of, we'll eventually move past this new job topic. I don't really know that there's necessarily any like theme to this episode. It's kind of just catching up and talking about some of these updates and everything. Season 2. No, this is the filler episode between seasons. But
it's the holiday special.
It's the what is the closest holiday to right now? We just passed Labor Day. Veterans Day is not the next one.
Veterans Day is the next one.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Halloween's before that.
No, Veterans Day is like coming up.
Veterans Day is November 11th.
Are you sure?
Halloween's first. Yes, it's the day after my birthday. I know when Veterans Day is.
Interesting. So it's the Halloween special. No, I have plans for a true Halloween special, so we can't call it the Halloween special. We do have some. So that's one thing that we've also talked about. To try to keep this podcast going, and kind of break up the we don't want it to be like too repetitive. We're gonna try to like look at special episodes maybe once a month, that are kind of themed around like whether it be holidays or like things going on around then. So we are talking about doing like a Halloween special. I don't know exactly. Guys, it's spooky season now.
It is spooky season.
Just to let you know.
So I think that Kandace and I might each share like a spooky, maybe we'll find some local urban legends and share some spooky stories.
Yes. Some spooky local legends.
Going back to kind of the job changes and everything, I thought it was gonna like, I don't know. There was a part of me that was not looking forward to physically going into an office again. Not because I have a problem with being in an office. I just hate commuting. I hate it so much. And I think that I had that in my head because I have gone so long without commuting, because my last job was completely remote. And before that was COVID. So like it's been several years since I've really had to commute. But I'm finding I'm loving just like that little bit of time to myself, like on the way to and from. I've been catching up on podcasts that I listen to, listening to like my weekly like Spotify playlist again, and just, I don't know, listening to more music, not in a like focus mode where I'm like, usually if I'm listening to music, I'm actually working. So it's kind of just nice to like listen to something fun as I'm driving or whatever. I'm sure that it's going to suck once winter hits again and I'm having to drive in the snow to Dayton. But yeah, I know I've been enjoying that time. One thing that was interesting. So it was a very hard decision for me to leave my last job and to take a chance on this one. I had a lot of doubts in my head about whether or not it was the right move for me. A lot of me, like, honestly, like I was kind of scared to take this job. Not because like I was worried that it was going to be a bad job or anything, but the same thing that's exciting me, and I think that like is making me feel so much better and like so much more lively, like just that like excitedness to like get back behind a camera again and film and like do all these fun projects. That was also scaring me. Like I haven't filmed much in the last couple of years, and I was worried, like, am I going to be any good? Because like, you know, things
Were you
change.
almost worried you're like, been passed up by?
Yeah, am I still good enough? I haven't really kept up on a lot of the new like trends. I haven't, it has been kind of a learning curve, just like trying to like look at like new, which I always keep up on gear and stuff, but I don't know, just keeping up on like new technologies and like the new things that are coming out. Like there's new workflows, like new ways of doing things. And it changes so rapidly. And there's this whole culture, like there are so many, what I call like, what are referred to as videographers out there, like people who like, like they have their more prosumer kind of like cameras and lenses and everything. And, they might have like a wedding business. They might shoot like little videos for small business here and there. They might, like they're kind of like a one person video production crew. And for the longest time, like that's where I would have categorized myself. It has been years since I've considered like what I do to be like really like on the more like cinematography or filmmaking kind of level of things, just because there's so much more involved in what goes into that. And I felt like this job was going to be treading that line a little bit. And, it's scary because like, so the camera that I'm using at work, like there's so many, it's such an amazing piece of equipment, but it's like, it doesn't have a lot of like these things that I've gotten so used to using, like autofocus and in-body stabilization. Like I have shaky ass hands, and like that's always been something that I've struggled with, like being a videographer and a photographer. It's just really shaky hands. And over the last couple of years, like the cameras that I use, like the stabilization has gotten so good that it doesn't matter. Like it's still pretty smooth. Like I could do handheld shots and like.
So the physicality of using some of this
it's
new
tricky, and there's
equipment.
there's a lot more. Like this is what separates. I think this is what really separates like a videographer, somebody who's able to, like they can point a camera that's doing most of the work for them and get like, like obviously they need to know composition and like some of the basics of it. But this is where you really have to start applying all of the things and doing it manually.
In the moment.
And it's not so much that you're doing it in the moment. It's that you have to think about these things ahead of time and plan for it. Storyboarding becomes more important, really planning out your shots, doing things with purpose, not just like, I know I got so used to like doing like the more like guerrilla style or like run and gun style, like documentary filmmaking for the longest time where, I wasn't really like planning out a lot of the stuff in my head. I was kind of just going with the flow. And so it was kind of scary. Like I knew I was going to have to be jumping back into like doing things more methodically. So that's kind of where I'm at now. And like, I don't know, like where it was scaring me when I first decided to take the job. And I was like, I don't know, psyching myself up about it. I'm excited about it now. And like, I'm really, really, really happy to get back in and like be practicing and, getting to use a cinema camera again and not just, like my my little DSLR, like mirrorless camera. Like it's, I don't know, I'm really excited for like just all the things. And, you know, my boss has even told me like, he doesn't care if I bring the equipment home and use it for personal projects. He encouraged it because that's the best way for me to learn the equipment and to get comfortable with it. And, you know, be able to do a better job for them is by, you know, practicing and being comfortable. And right now, like, I'm still pretty nervous about it. And there's I have a long way to go, but I'm excited to kind of like start getting everything put together. And like, I'm going to bring it home. And part of me is kind of excited. Like we've mentioned on here a few times that there's a few short films that we've kind of like had up in the air that we've done pre-production on. Like we've done like some scripting and storyboarding for, but we haven't actually filmed it. And I'm happy that I haven't yet, because I think that what I'm going to be able to do now with some of this equipment, hopefully, is better than what I would have been able to do before. Right. And not only that, but we finally can film this short film because our street lamp is fixed. So that might be a weird thing to kind of say, like, you know, we back to episode 1 or 2. we can't film this short film because our street lamp outside is out. So it's crucial. Not giving anything away, but like the story that we kind of mapped out, it does very heavily rely on the street lamp that's outside. I mean, we could have faked that, or I don't know, but it like right as we were about to film it, like we got this really bad storm and literally our street lamp caught fire, and it's just been out. Like it's been pitch black outside in front of our house for the longest time. And the city came through, and I think our neighbor, you know, had a bad day and filed several complaints at one time. I think it was one of those like kind of just back burner things. Like she was like saying, and this pothole, you know, like made this tire go flat, and this thing did and like she was like, and also our street lamp caught fire. Someone like she was just like pulled it out of her back pocket. And like I'm happy. I mean, I didn't have to call in and complain about it and get it taken care of. So and the city delivered, and now the whole sun shines from this street lamp. Yeah, it's weird. Like we had these like really kind of just warm tungsten lights before. The old ones, the old ones. But they had to completely like so the parts that they were using for the old lamps and the bulbs, like they can't get them anymore, I guess. So they've been slowly transitioning all of them over to these LED lights. And there's no diffusers around them. There's no diffusion. It's just like straight ass like daylight, like colored, like I don't know. It's not even like a warm, like you think nighttime, like it's easier on the eyes to have kind of that warm lighting or whatever. No, it's like full on like daylight lighting. All of the world's mosquitoes are out by that lamp right now. So bright. Like the first night that it was on, like we have blackout curtains in our room, but I still saw through the crack a little bit of light coming into our room. And I was like, man, like what, did I sleep through my alarm clock? What time is it? And I look at the clock, it's like 1:30. I'm like, what? What is that light? It's the sun. It's courtesy of the city. Yeah, it was just a very, very, very bright light. But what's nice is like we do, we hang out in front of our house and like our cul-de-sac a lot. And like the last month or so since the storm rolled in, like it's been pitch black out there. So the kids, like, you know, they ride their scooters around and they run around everywhere. And like, I'm always worried they're going to like hit something or like wreck or whatever. So like now they have a little bit more light. It's also getting dark earlier. It's getting darker earlier, which means it's spooky season. And I am so excited. Just little things every day when I'm going on my walks, I'm seeing the leaves falling. They're turning red. It's getting cooler. Still a little bit warm, but you know, it's getting that fall breeze and I'm here for it. I'm about ready to break out my flannels. I've already been wearing mine. Start my OnlyFans. What? My only flannels. Your only flannels? Did you say only flans? Only flans. Oh man, we need to buy that domain before somebody else does. So yeah, speaking of spooky season, so the other day, like for whatever reason, Milo, like out of nowhere, was just like, I want to watch Freddy Krueger. And he's been like saying, like, I don't know, he keeps saying like, I'm going to watch it when I get home from school. Well, I mean, if you've listened to the episode 4, you know, we talk about Freddy Krueger. He gets it from you. It's not a mystery. Gets it from me. I don't think that he really understands like my obsession with Freddy Krueger. I don't like really talk about Freddy Krueger a lot in front of him. It's just something like in his little kid brain, like it's clicked with him too. I don't even know where it came from. He just loves
the idea of spooky stuff. He wants to watch scary movies right now when, the girls don't want to be doing that. He is really ready for spooky movies.
So that's a little bit about, like what's been going on with me. New job, new ambitions, just new outlook, really pushing along. Like I feel like I'm valued where I'm at, and I'm really excited to kind of just grow and do awesome things in work and outside of work. I'm hoping that I have the energy to do so. And as things are starting to slow down a little bit, like Kandace already mentioned, like I already seem like I'm a little more lively than I normally was, which is funny because I'm commuting home most of the time. Whereas like I was down in the basement at my last job, and 5 o'clock would hit and I would just like stumble upstairs, like dead to the world, ready to be done.
Well, what's strange about that is I also have so much more energy. And I think what a lot of it is we're both taking that time for our mental health. We're able to. And I think we were almost bringing each other down by just always being together. As weird as that sounds, I think that it's important for, us, for anybody to take that time away, because now I have, the one-on-one freedom and time to, go to the gym. I'm remembering to take better care of myself, drink more water throughout the day. You're commuting, before, even though you worked at home, you were always working through lunch. Yeah, you never could come up and just have a lunch.
I think it's funny that you even say like that it was a lunch. Most of the time I was having to like come up and like scarf something down in like 5 minutes between meetings. Oh my gosh. Like people don't schedule meetings for lunchtime. And I understand it gets a little bit hard when you have people all over the country on different time zones, but holy shit, do not schedule. Like I had regular meetings with people on the East Coast in the time zone. I'm not going to complain about my last job, but I said that I wouldn't. We're not here for that.
Yeah, I think, what we're really trying to get at is we have more energy at the end of the day. We're, getting into new routines where we're taking better care of ourselves and our health and our minds. And I've actually had more energy to start cooking again. Not that I've cooked anything crazy. You still cook mostly, but it's just before we would both end work, look at each other, in the basement and be like, now we have to figure out something to make to eat and we're exhausted. And now it's like, I anticipate you coming home. I'm excited. I want to figure out dinner.
I don't know when we even got to that point where like that was such an issue. Mm-hmm. I remember, so when I was working at the university, I would come home from work, which I was commuting there most days too. I would come home and like, I had like all of the energy to cook. Like maybe, I don't know, sometimes, a lot of times, like I would call you on my way home and we would discuss dinner at that point. So if I needed to stop by the store to get something to cook, well, like I could. And that way, like we were kind of like, moving along, like, all right, like come home, cook, good to go. And for whatever reason, I think that when we were working remotely, like we weren't really out and about as much. So like if we didn't have it in the house, we couldn't cook and we didn't have the energy to go out and get the stuff. So we struggled for like the last year. We struggled really, really hard
with the whole food thing, just eating healthy, planning ahead. So I think the moral of the story is your job is awesome and I can quit my job and be.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
I'm just kidding. I love my job.
You just probably pushed away our last listener.
It's nothing that I don't tell her daily. Just kidding. No, I'm not going to quit my job. I love my job.
Speaking of your job, and I don't know how much of this you want to keep like completely on the down low.
Right.
So I'll let you kind of guide this. Like if there is anything you want to say about what you're working on right now.
I'd love to say a little bit about it. And I think I would like to delve more in depth into it in a future episode and go more into it. But
yeah,
the last episode we recorded, we kind of talked about things that we dreamt of doing as kids or that we really enjoyed. And after we recorded that episode, which was maybe, 4 weeks ago or so, a month ago?
I think it's been longer than 4 weeks.
it's been 4 or 5 weeks ago now. If you haven't already listened to that episode, go back and listen. Justin talks about how he was Freddy Krueger as a kid. I talk about how I used to want to be an author or a dancer or an artist or anything creative.
Did you talk about those things?
I did. I sure did. I just, when I was younger, I wanted to be something different every week. And it was always something in a creative field. So I started thinking about that very heavily because we were thinking, you know, what creative things or what projects could we do for ourselves to fill our own cups and, you know, be happy and, you know, just do something that is different than the everyday routine. So after that, I decided to commit, you know, I'm going to start writing a book. So I started writing, and it kind of stemmed from a dream that I had when I was way younger. And I really wanted to write the, you know, a version of the story down when I was younger. And I was like, I'm going to be an author and I'm going to publish this book. And of course, I wrote 4 pages and stapled them together and drew a pencil drawing. And that was about it. But yeah, I sat down and started typing one day. And just the world just kind of spilled out, and I just started having all of this inspiration and ideas, and it started snowballing. And I work for a publishing company, so it's not a far reach for me to be able to actually publish a book. So it's not like this is a huge feat, but I would say that
don't downsell it. Well, like it is a huge thing.
It's not like I'm, you know, getting the yes from somebody to be able to publish. I mean, I work in publishing, so, you know, that part of it is easy. The hard part for me is actually taking that time for myself and focusing on the writing and not feel selfish about it. It does get hard when I'll get into a writing mode and I almost feel like I'm ignoring you guys, or, you know, I should be playing a game of Uno or, you know, something else that the kids want to do, and I'm finishing, you know, a chapter. But what's great about it is the kids are really supportive, and you've been really supportive about it too. Just, you know,
I'm on this weird line right now where like I'm really excited and I want to be helping you, but at the same time, I know that I can tend to be a little pushy with like my opinions and like thoughts and ideas, and I'm trying not to step on, like, because I'm excited for you. So I'm trying to let you kind of like do a lot of this. And I know that there's going to be a point where I can kind of start stepping in and like maybe do some editing for you and stuff. But I'm also like, from my end, like I kind of want to see it more put together. So I'm kind of, I don't know, I've been trying to like stay back a little bit.
That's my goal as well. I'm actually terrified to show it to you right now, only because I also have really high standards for myself, and the manuscript portion of it, you know, it's still a work in progress. I have many notes, and basically everything, you know, just needs to be filled in and refined. And, you know, we still need to go through editing phases. So it's going to be a little bit before I actually, you know, present anything to you guys of substance. But I did want to talk about, you know, the project I'm working on. The most exciting part about it so far has been seeing the art come to life. I've been working closely with an illustrator that is just doing everything that I ask. So you know, everything that I say, he brings to life exactly what I picture in my head. And that's been so fun. And, you know, that's not so shocking because that's my everyday job. So I do this every day. I help, you know, people's books. But people have their books come to life, but this one's mine. So yeah, since this is, you know, my first personal project that I'm doing, it's so freaking cool and fun. And also I think it's helping me be better at my job because I feel more compassionate to my clients in a way that I wasn't before. So before I was a little bit more all business.
Well, you know, like from their perspective, where they're coming from. And like, yes, people can be difficult to deal with sometimes, but you have a better understanding of where, you know, like that, their like drive, like where their difficulties are like stemming from.
Exactly. Yeah. And part of it is, I thought that I was empathetic and compassionate with clients before, but now I can see, this is truly personal. Like things that people say about your project or, want to change even, that can feel very personal. And I've been slowly working with an editor right now. And when you see someone try and change something that you thought about for hours one day, and tried to write down, and for someone to say, hey, let's change it to this, or it would be better if you just left that out, or, something like that, that can be crushing at times. And obviously you don't have to listen to that feedback, but they're the professionals, and it's nice to, take that feedback and at least, mix it in and, help yourself out. But yeah, it's a very personal project. And that's why I'm even reluctant to let you even go near it until it's more formed.
Oh, I'm going to tear it apart.
You're going to totally tear it apart. I told him my, working title earlier tonight, very scared because I knew he was going to tear it apart. And I was like, please don't even comment because I was excited all day and you're going to ruin my excitement about it. And he's like, that's just too much. Have you written that down and looked at it?
I was coming at it from a visual perspective. And it's not that I was saying this is your book, go with what title you want. I was just from a designer perspective, I was just picturing it laid out as you were reading it in my head. And I was like, that's a bit much for the age group that you're writing this book for.
Right. I didn't mention it's more of
that was more my concern.
It's a middle grade. It's an upper middle grade novel. I can say this. It's a fantasy fiction middle grade novel. So, it stems off an idea that I had when I was younger. So I'm putting myself in the shoes of, a younger kid and writing this whole world from that kid's perspective. And I don't know. I'm really scared to show it to you. And part of me really wants to, because I know you'll have some great feedback, but I also don't want you to crush my dreams, yo.
So, here's the thing. I just coming from the background that I have as a creative, I have learned to be very direct with criticism. And some people they struggle to take that. It's not that I'm trying to be harsh or anything in any way. It's that I'm giving when I'm giving my feedback, I'm giving my my true and honest opinion, not to put somebody down, but to help them better. They're whatever it is that they're working on and make it its its true potential. And that's something I've had to learn to take that criticism in a professional setting. And over the years, I've learned to kind of to dish it out. I still I don't know, with certain people, I find myself trying to kind of I don't know. I don't like to give the, what is that referred to as the,
are you saying you don't like to be a yes man? Oh, that's so good. No, yeah, that type of thing.
Essentially but there's the, it's the, you got to start out by saying oh, I really, really like this and this and this, but okay. it's essentially, it doesn't really help anybody. If something's awesome, I'll compliment cake. That's what I'm trying to think of. Yeah. Okay. It's the compliment sandwich or the compliment, if something's really, really good, I will tell you that something is really, really good. But if there's something that and it's not even that, and again, just my opinion, my criticisms, if I feel there's something that could be improved on, or that I think that you are capable of doing better, I will also tell you that. You do with that what you will, but that's there. I do
want to give you some of my own criticism, being, I feel like I can give you this criticism as your wife and kind of your ex-coworker. So I think I really appreciate direct criticism. I get it every day at work. It's so helpful. That's the most helpful, way that I can grow and learn. However, I feel like you you are sometimes the type of person, not always, if it's not your idea, it sucks. So you always think that you're the best and right about everything. And you can't say that that's not true, because it is. So you think if it's not an idea that you came up with or not what you would have done, that it's not good. That's something I've noticed.
I will say like that is something that like in my professional life, like I do struggle with that quite a bit. It's not that I think that like everything else, I don't know. I think for me, I just have a hard time. I really do struggle with seeing other people's visions sometimes. And I can kind of have blinders on where I'm only seeing the way that I'm envisioning it.
Just in blinders.
Yes.
100%. And I think a lot of that is you're really confident and you are really creative and you have great ideas, but that is one of the reasons why I'm nervous to show it to you if it's not in a final looking official form. Because I feel like since you're not doing this project and I'm doing it and everything is in my head, the way that I work is I can see how it's going to turn out, if that makes sense. Like if you're in charge of a project, a creative project, like bottom line is you can see the end result when no one else can a lot of times. And I think that's especially true for this project because I know how I want it to turn out and how I'm going to make it turn out. So if you're seeing it without the finished, polished almost look or feel, you're not going to like it. And that's going to make me so sad.
We'll see. No, like, I mean, you're right. I can struggle sometimes, like, and it's, so I'm really good at like, if I'm presented something that's not like a finished project, my mind goes to like, how do I finish this? How I jump to conclusions, to like what that's going to be in the end. And that's why, like, again, like I'm for this project for you, I'm trying to I'm stepping back. I'm trying to keep myself away from it until you get further along, because like, I don't want you to like, this is your thing. And like, I don't want you to feel like pressured to, you know, like, oh, well, Justin said he didn't like this. And if that's something like, I don't want you to feel like, oh, I have to change all of these things. Like, it's not my book, it's yours.
Right. And I mean, the whole reason I'm doing it is to have a fun experience. And that is exactly what it's been so far. I'm giddy every day, just like, okay, it's time to write. I've set a goal for myself of writing at least 2,000 words a day. Sometimes I get more, sometimes I get less. But that's just the goal that I've set so that I can finish on the deadline that I would like. And I have so much fun doing it. And I love reading what I'm writing aloud as I'm typing in a British accent. It makes it so much better.
I'm sitting here, like, I'm not going to give anything away, but I'm sitting here like thinking about like what I do know about the book. Where does the British accent come from? So
the British accent has nothing to do with the book. It's
just is that your author like voice in your head?
Yeah, it's like my narrator voice. And it does serve a purpose. It's so that I don't have, there's so many thoughts swirling around in my head. And if I'm hearing myself read aloud what I'm typing, I make less mistakes and I don't have to go back and retype things.
Let me ask you this. Does that British narrator voice in your head, does that come from just years and years of reading Harry Potter as a kid?
I don't think it's that.
I think it's that?
I think that's my inner voice.
you're a British lady.
Yeah. 50% British lady, 50% very harsh Southern man. That's my other voice.
I do declare.
Yeah. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's a strange combination.
Yeah.
At the same time, I oddly fits. Huh. they're sophisticated. Yeah, no, yeah. So I'm really pumped for you, and I'm excited to see it, and I'm excited to like bounce ideas and stuff around with you, and I'm excited to give you my thoughts. I'm trying not to be like overbearing. Like that is something that I can struggle with. Like here's the thing, like I have a very specific brand of criticism and there's a time and a place for it. And I think that knowing how and when it's appropriate to give that sort of criticism is, you know, it makes all the difference in a professional setting.
And I think that it's
an important thing in decision making and like a leadership quality, but it's it's not always like, I don't know, like I sometimes I can tend to overdo that. I actually, this makes me think of so I'm gonna have a little story time. Do you ever have like, are there any like stories that like, you could just like wake up in the middle of the night and for no reason you're just thinking about something that like, oh shit, like I was so stupid, like why did I do this 15 years ago?
All the time. Or like, where's my birth certificate?
I've been thinking a lot about this a lot recently, just because like, so I have a friend from college, and I'm not gonna say any names or anything, just because I don't know, who knows if he's listening or whatever. But I have a friend from college who, I met him in one of my freshman filmmaking classes, and I've been thinking about him a lot recently, just because like he's like on like LinkedIn, he's like popping up for me a lot recently, because like he's affiliated with like a really cool brand that I love so much. And he recently got, promoted to their brand director. And I just think like, I'm so excited for him, and it's such a cool thing. And like, I've just been like, I don't know, like I unfortunately he's associated with like one of my like lowest moments, as far as like just taking like that tendency of mine to like just kind of take charge and not let other people's like slip in and like their creativity and opinions like on projects. It's something I think about. I'm like, I try to use this as like almost a guiding point to keep myself from being overbearing with like these sorts of things. But yeah, anyway, my freshman year of college, I'm in a filmmaking class, and we had to shoot a music video, and we got paired off into, it was groups of two. So it was just me and this guy. We're paired off in a group together. And, my freshman year of college, I'm coming off of, and I know we've talked a little bit about like what got me into video production in the first place. Like, I was in high school. I had this group of friends that I was making all these stupid little short films and stuff with all the time. Like, I had a very, very close group of friends that I was always making videos with. I had a workflow. I had a specific style. I had like all of these things that I was so stubborn and did not want to budge from. And this is one of the first projects I'm doing with another person in college, like a chance for me to grow beyond what I had been doing. And I shoot myself in the foot. Like I basically like in a roundabout way tell my partner like, oh, well, I've got a pretty good idea for what I want to do already. I'll just do it. Like, you don't have to worry about it. And I hate that. I think about that a lot. And
he's the one that got away.
I mean, I don't know. We were fairly decent friends throughout college. I don't think that he was necessarily offended by it, but like, I hate that I took, I don't know.
You lost a moment to grow with somebody or make some connections for the future.
And I feel like I did that a lot in college. Like I had a hard time sometimes like I don't know. This has changed a lot as I've gotten older and as I've grown professionally, but I tend to like kind of just let my ego like get in the way a lot of times. And this was like a bad instance of that. And like, I hate this so much. And like, it's kind of like, I think about it. I think it's almost like it's good that it happened though, because it's like one of those things that
it's
like
humbling.
Yes, it's humbling. Mm-hmm. And I think back to it, I basically like without even like letting him get involved, just shot this entire music video in the way that I had envisioned it and did what I wanted to do. And I made him take the grade.
Right.
And I hate that I did that. It's a very low point. And I would consider in my professional career at that point. And like it's one of those things like, like I just randomly think about it a lot.
Well, it kind of reminds me, I'm getting the same thought too, where like, for example, you may not think something is the best, but that's the great thing about creative projects. And I say this all the time with shows, not everything has to be the best and not everything is for you. It's something that somebody made intentionally.
They put their heart and soul into it. They put a lot of effort into it. Not just one person, a lot of people, especially like TV and films, a lot of people put it. And like, that's kind of where, like, that's where I'm really excited to get back into real video production. Like I've been doing my own thing for so long and relying so heavily on like all of these like assisted like camera like functions and everything. Like I've felt like I've just been like a one man crew for the longest time. And although I don't really have like a big team working with me, I think that this is a good opportunity to start pushing me into projects with like working with other people. So, one a former colleague of mine and like one of my mentors, her husband is very into, I mean, he does a lot of like video production stuff. Him and a friend of his who, like they've been working on a feature-length film for several years now. And like, I got lunch with the two of them recently and kind of just talked about like projects and everything. And like, things that they have coming up, things that they're working on right now, them trying to get this feature-length film put out and everything. And like, I just loved like, getting to meet with other people who are passionate about like things that are similar to me and like kind of just throwing ideas around and like, wasn't meant to go anywhere. I wasn't trying to get in on their project or anything, but I loved hearing about their project. I loved hearing about like what, like what they have coming up. Like I bounced a few ideas off of them and it was just really great to like feel like I was part of, something, even if that was just a conversation between three people at a lunch. And I'm really excited to kind of start finding ways that I can professionally, start being a part of a team and taking myself out of it a little bit more and being a part of something bigger. I think that that's something that I really need. And it's something that I really want. And I think that that's the thing that's holding me back from the progression I'm looking for in my career. I took this last job that I had, the one that I just left. I took that as a step to kind of propel myself into a leadership role. And I just don't think that I'm there yet. And I think that that's, me stepping back to what I'm doing now. I think that was an important step. And I think that there's a lot of ways for me to kind of, learn to work with other people better and not just do my thing.
Well, most of us begin to learn how to work in groups by being assigned a group that you don't want to be with in high school. And the one that's actually motivated in the group ends up doing all of the work. So I feel like at an early age, we all get burned from, working in a group. And if you're that motivated, you end up just learning to rely on yourself. So it can be a hard lesson to learn that you actually need and should use the help of other people. I'm actually learning that firsthand right now. I thought that, writing my book was going to be, all the ideas would be mine. And I was like excited to have all of these ideas like spill out of my head onto the paper. And in fact, I've been having better luck bouncing ideas off of colleagues and, family. And my sister has actually been a big help. She, she's been really good lately at just being like, oh no, that sucks. You should do this instead. And I'm like, holy shit. Yeah, you're amazing. Thank you for that. So it's just so nice, being able to, reach out to the people around you to help you grow. And it's not that it's not your idea. It's just you're, being helped by, people around you to be the best you can be.
I think, and I say this a lot, I think that I have taken myself as far as I am able to go at this stage with my craft. I think that the next step for me is learning to trust and rely on other people. I think is a huge part of my professional growth going forward. And, that's something that I'm really trying to work on. And I hope that I get that opportunity to do so and to collaborate with other people. And, like, I don't know, I've this huge fucking head on me. Like, I just need to like put it aside. And, I want to be able to work with other people and do cool shit. That was, again, one of the reasons that we started this podcast. Like and here we are, just the two of us talking again. Like we haven't had very many guests, but I want to learn to listen better to other people. I want to learn to, see perspectives from other people. I want to, I know it's something that I need and it's something that I want.
Well, I'm again super proud of you for just going after what you wanted and, facing that fear and taking the chance of, leaving the house for a job again. And you have to put on hard pants.
Man, I just learned what hard pants was like on episode 1 of our podcast. I'd never heard that term before, but yeah, I've gone the last almost year wearing shorts pretty much every single day.
Any season.
I'm just down in my basement wearing like gym shorts or sweat shorts or swarts.
I put on makeup this morning and left the house and went to Starbucks.
I put makeup on Saturday.
Oh, you did?
I did.
But that's another story.
No, I mean, it's not really a story. It was, you guys know that a Renaissance Festival is a big thing for us. The Ohio Renaissance Festival is now a few weeks in, so we're like in the middle of our season already.
It's going now. Hey.
And this past weekend was Pirate Weekend, and I've never dressed up for Pirate Weekend, but I was kind of bored with what I had dressed up as the previous time that we went, and I'm kind of like in between things right now. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go around the house looking for random ass piratey shit that I can throw on, and I actually put together a pretty decent ensemble. And like, I was like, as we were like trying to get out the door, I was telling Kandace, I was like, what else could I do? Put eyeliner on me.
Put beads in my beard.
Yeah, put some beads. I had beads in my beard. I couldn't find any hoop earrings, but I was looking for some hoop earrings because I got these gaping holes that I just need to fill.
I just love how you live in a house with 3 girls and there's no hoop earrings to be found.
I swear, I see them randomly in the weirdest spots all the time.
Nobody wears hoop earrings here.
I don't know.
You would be the first.
I would be the first, I guess.
But no, I actually, going back to the makeup thing though, you're putting hard pants on, you're leaving the house. I put on makeup today and went to Starbucks for no reason. And just because I didn't want to feel like ocean sludge. Like I just didn't want to, I'm just tired of feeling like a basement troll or ocean sludge. So,
yeah, no, it's, a basement troll is a good
basement troll. Yeah. I just something nasty troll, on the bottom of your shoe. That's ghoul, what I've been feeling.
Gollum.
So when I say I put on makeup, I literally mean I put on lipstick. That's all that I did. I don't do a whole bunch, but I went to Starbucks.
You put a piece of yourself together this morning.
I put a piece of myself together and
I went out into the world
and I went out there.
Damn it. I'm going to seize Carpe this macchiato.
Well, guess what happened?
Is that Latin? Carpe this
the first part was
seize this macchiato.
So, well, that's what I did. And I felt so good because I went up to the counter and the barista, who knows me by now. Sorry,
I'm assuming that you got complimented on your hair.
No, my makeup.
Oh, your makeup.
Yeah, the barista knows me, and it was hilarious because just a tiny thing like lipstick. She went, "Oh,
damn, girl.
I love your makeup today," and it was almost embarrassing because it was literally just like a little bit of lipstick. So I felt like she was being sarcastic, but I was like, oh, thank you. I was like, I guess I don't really ever put on makeup, especially when I see you, like, at this hour in the morning. And she's like, yeah, I almost didn't recognize you. And I was like, oh, shit, I must be really bad usually. If just a little bit of lipstick.
My coffee getting sweats and my.
And I do not usually wear hard pants to go get coffee.
And it's something wearing hard pants. Mm-hmm. It really is, especially like all day.
It's usually the yoga pants, no bra, no makeup. My hair is never brushed. I look like a basement troll.
Well, I'm proud of you for, coming out of the dungeon.
Thank you.
And putting a piece of yourself together to get coffee today.
Thank you.
I think that we both are mentally in a different place now than we were even a few weeks ago. And I think we're on the rise. At least that's what I'm saying optimistically. I don't know, like, it was, as we mentioned earlier in the episode, it's definitely dealing with like bouts of depression over the last year. And it's never really gone. It's just you kind of have good have good days.
And you got to get through it.
And you get
so
through
there's,
it.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, for both of us, I think that we're both kind of getting through it better or easier than we have in recent months.
It feels like a new chapter, something about, you know, like usually people look to the new year as their new, like new year, new me. I always feel like the fall season is like a new, I think I'm still in school mode.
Yeah. Well,
you know what I mean?
Because you think like that really is like, we're trained to like, that is like the start like of our year. And I think having small children, like it's the start of their year.
It's the start of the year.
I've never really considered New Year's like either. The beginning of shit. Usually that's like where everyone else is like, I'm going to lose 50 pounds this year. And then like the next day, they're like, the only 50 that they're losing is $50 at Arby's.
Arby's?
Yeah, because I don't know. I was making giving up and just going straight for $50 worth of the meats.
Can you even spend $50 at Arby's?
Easily. You can't get a sandwich at Arby's for less than like $12 anymore. So if you buy enough sides, like throw some mozzarella sticks in there, some jalapeno poppers.
Have you ever
Is it even meat?
I don't think it is. It's like a pink sludge.
Yeah. Anyway.
It's like shaved.
Shaved pink sludge.
It is delicious.
I just love the curly fries. They give you a shit ton of curly fries and the Arby's sauce. Anyway, we're getting on a tangent. What were we talking about?
How did we get here?
We probably need to be wrapping up, but.
So yeah, new year, new us.
Me. Oh, new us. Yeah.
New us. We wear hard pants. We put on lipstick.
You don't have hard pants on right now. You just put on lipstick.
Not anymore. Oh, it's long gone. So you put on hard pants. I put on lipstick.
And my flannel. That's another thing. I'm wearing overshirts now. For the last year, I've been wearing shorts and a t-shirt.
I wore a bra today.
Ooh, nice.
Mm-hmm. I've been running every day. We're killing it.
I mean, I'm not exercising. If anything, I'm trying to like cut down on like, Kandace, get rid of our Y membership. We don't need it anymore. I don't use it.
I guess I'll just run outside.
Just run outside in the elements where you'll surely be smited.
Well, yeah. So I'm excited for this transition period, and I'm excited to be getting back into the swing of recording more on a regular schedule. Fingers crossed, and getting our space set up so that we can have a more permanent situation to make it easier to record weekly.
Eventually we will get in the swing of this. Yeah. Until then, I mean, thanks for waiting around. We have people reaching out to us on a weekly basis asking like, hey, is there going to be an episode? And we're just like, I know, we forgot to record.
And honestly, we appreciate the accountability, and we appreciate the 4 people that ask us, every week, when's there going to be another episode? I like listening while I do laundry or, doing dishes.
More than 4 listeners, but that's not too far off.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I would say thanks for, caring, and thanks for listening.
Well, we're going to end this with, so I shared what I wake up in the middle of the night and like, I just think about, and it's like, oh, why did I do that thing 15 years ago? Do you have any of those that you would like to share? It can even be a simple, like you like did something, you sat on somebody at a coffee shop one time.
Oh, I did sit on somebody. The problem with mine is nightly, I wake up at 3 a.m. wide awake,
witching hour,
and I think about 20 things at the same time, giving myself horrible anxiety, making my heart rate rise. Then there's no chance at going back to sleep till 6:30. And then by the time I pass the fuck out at 6:30, the alarm clock goes off, and I'm absolutely exhausted. But it's usually a mixture of, oh crap, this kid has a doctor's appointment in the morning. Oh crap, we don't have any juice bags back for their lunch. Mixed with, oh, I had a conversation with a neighbor yesterday, and I think I didn't look enthusiastic in my face when I talked to them, so they probably hate me now. Just
socializing
overthinking
is exhausting, and so I overthink hard. Every aspect of it.
Yeah, I overthink every
It's so nice to have people in your life who understand that you don't always have to be saying stuff. You can take breaks from talking. You can, I don't know, just sometimes you just need to shut down
I
often need to shut down.
I love the easy friends where you can pick back up later and not overthink every single interaction. It's exhausting. It does keep me up. I will think that you hate me. I'm trying to work on that because I know you probably don't hate me, but you might.
I tend to I hate it when I lay up at night thinking about, if I had a negative interaction with somebody, like, oh man, I should have said this.
Oh,
they would have gotten what's what. They would have learned their lesson if I would have said that. Or if I had a positive interaction with somebody, but then I was awkward and like, man, that would have been funny if I would have said this. They would have been like, oh man, you're so funny. And but I didn't say it.
I more often than not, I have really dark thoughts where I'm laying awake and I picture a full home invasion where kids are being abducted. Someone's
terrible.
Trying to kill us. And basically it's me planning out how I would, save everybody and live through this situation to live to tell, to get through it. So I almost think it's a defense mechanism or I almost think it's like a survival mode that maybe parents have. I've heard that it happens with a lot of parents and especially mothers with younger kids. You imagine these horrible situations in your mind and think about how you'll
preparing yourself.
Prepare it.
It's you're gonna hate me for referencing Dragon Ball, but it's image training. Like you picture the fight, the battle in your head over and over and over again until you've lived that and you are prepared for anything that's going to come at your way. I
do it all the time. In so many situations, not just in the house, like being out in public, what will happen? What will I do if this happens? And I'll plan it out in my head. I really think it's just normal. I almost think it's like a biological thing, unless I'm crazy. Listeners, let me know if you do this as well, because I just realized talking about it, how often I do this and how often I probably psych myself up for no reason. But I even plan what I'll use as my weapons. What are
you grabbing? If you hear someone coming up the stairs, what's the first thing you're grabbing?
There's all sorts of things. Sometimes, and I'm probably half asleep thinking of this, I'll pick up the fucking TV and smash someone down the stairs.
I'd pick up the dog and throw the dog.
Well, I always think about our dog's going to be no help in alerting us because she doesn't care.
So funny enough, she will alert. So, and I know we keep trying to wrap this up, but this is gonna go off on another tangent. Anyway, this was about a month ago now. Before we got sick, we had a bonfire out at one of our neighbors' houses, and we were out until 2 a.m. It was pretty late, and Kandace was double dog dared to
this is probably how we got sick.
Yeah, probably. our neighbor, which I think they might be a listener. But our neighbor's wife had gone up to bed already. And she was up in her room, and Kandace was double dog dared to go
triple dog
dared. You can't not do a triple dog dare. To go up into the room and just jump into her bed. Jump on it. Yeah.
Just she was probably asleep. Just go up into her room and jump on it.
And so she did that. And that's a whole story. We'll get into that another time and tell it more in detail.
Looking back in hindsight, is that smart considering what we just talked about mothers do while they lay in bed?
That's what I'm getting at. A few nights after this had happened with Kandace, we had been like hanging out with our neighbors in another situation in which I was feeling kind of tired. So I came upstairs, came back into our house and came upstairs and went to bed. And sure enough, half an hour later, I had just fallen asleep. So I was kind of I wasn't in a deep sleep or anything yet. Lizzie, our dog, she just stands up. And I'm like, well, that's weird. She never does that. So she alerted me. She didn't bark or anything, but she stood at attention toward our door. And I just hear they were trying to be real quiet, but I hear multiple just soft footsteps coming up the stairs, and 4 of our adult male neighbors charge into my room and hamster pile on me. And I was like, what the fuck? But Lizzie did alert us.
She alerts, but she doesn't do anything about it. Like,
No,
she's not gonna attack.
She was like, I'm pretty sure she was like wagging her tail once she like
Right.
saw people. She was just excited to like see people.
Yeah.
But
So
at
yeah,
least she would alert me to know that something's coming so I could prepare myself. And I at the point that she did that, I kind of knew what was about to happen. But yes, Lizzie does alert us. She's basically like useless in that situation. You're better off picking her up and throwing her at an intruder in the hopes that it knocks them down the stairs or something.
That's my plan. I'm just gonna like hurdle towards them like I'm a water boy and just like slam them down the stairs.
I have my my thick ass Yeti water bottle that I keep next to the bed most of the time. I'm grabbing that and chucking it at him. You got hit by a metal water bottle.
I was gonna say that's actually a great weapon, and I know firsthand my goose egg just went down under my skin. So yeah, that's a great one to keep around. Keep that by your bed.
Like we're thinking of like all these things. All of our neighbors are probably like smacking themselves in the head right now, like just buy a gun.
Just this wouldn't be an issue if you'd buy an AR-15.
Man, they can keep begging me, but I'm not there yet. I'm gonna throw my dog for now.
I'll throw the TV.
Don't throw the TV. We need that.
And the Yeti.
Yeah, the Yeti's probably the best option.
Yeah.
Well, this has been great talking and catching up, listeners. Not that we're hearing anything that you're saying. You're probably cursing at us, calling us idiots under your breath the entire episode. I don't know what you do.
But we love you.
We love you. I am Justin Tyler.
And I'm Kandace Tyler.
And this is the Cupful Podcast. Thanks for listening.